You want to know something really fucking cool? The gap between where you are now to your first 10K month is actually a lot smaller than you probably think it is. And here's how I know that. As a sales coach who has worked with hundreds of women at this point and who has been in this industry of sales for over 20 years, there are not many things that you actually need to do to get to that financial achievement goal that you have. The big mistake is we're all focusing on what's the one strategy? What's the thing I have to do? And listen, if you want one thing, I am going to tell you that thing is the skill of sales, but that's actually not what we are talking about today. Because there is so much more than just learning the skill of sales. These are the 3 micro habits that I can, with my full soul, share with you and tell you that if you start implementing these 3 things, your first 10K month is not only inevitable, but the coolest part is it's going to stay around. Because we don't want you to just hit a 10K month one time. Anyone can do it one time. But the true genius is, can you make it stick around and not burn out while doing it? And these 3 micro habits are so easy and free. That's the best part. They're completely free. 3 free micro habits that you can start doing right away to help you close that gap. Before we dive in, I want to remind you that the doors are open for Embodied Earner. This is my 12-month mastermind for coaches and creatives who are really ready to build and scale to their 10K months that stay around. Again, we are about consistency here, not random wins here and there. I want you to feel like you have a really solid foundation of a business that you feel proud of, that you can use the financial gains to explore your life, bring your family on vacations, treat yourself, move to a different place, leave your job that you can't stand, and do all the things that your heart desires. Because honestly, that is what our businesses are there for, right? To create impact and to help us fulfill the dreams that we have for our life outside of our business. So the doors are open until April 10th. It is a very intimate mastermind, meaning it's not just anyone that comes in off the street. This is truly for the woman who is feeling called to learn the skill of sales and change at a cellular level to become this person who has a business of this impact. I communicate with a majority of my clients using the Telegram app. And I just had this conversation with a client this past week, which is what inspired this episode. She is on her way to getting her business to that first 3K, then 5K, 10K month, right? And she's doing the things and she's feeling like, man, I feel like this should be happening faster. And that's the thing I see so much of the time with women wanting to get to this next level in business. They think because they are working on a content strategy or working on a launch that these 10K months are just going to start showing up. And when they don't, there's that level of friction. Like, what am I doing wrong? Oftentimes, though, it's not that you're missing the strategy. The strategy is something that you can learn. Strategy is a skill. It's very much like step 1, step 2, step 3. Here's how you're doing it. But I want you to ask yourself, who are you as you are implementing this strategy that you are learning? Because to become an embodied earner, to become a woman with a 10K plus month business, you must change at a cellular level. And I know that can sound really scary, but here's what I mean by that. I use fitness analogies a lot, and whether you're a runner or not, you are going to understand what I mean by this. When I first got into my fitness journey, I literally refused to run. I said, I am not a runner. I'm just simply not. And what started to happen over time as I increased my endurance, as I started working on my strength, as I started showing up for myself, I started to what I call like closet run. Because what was happening on a micro level was that I was starting to identify with being someone who was active, identify with someone who was healthy. I was changing on such a granular micro level that it wasn't even really like visible or understandable to me at the time. I can see it now looking back, but it was such small shifts that were happening that I started running. I then went to witness my trainer at the time. I saw his wife run her first marathon. And I said to myself, next year, I want to run a marathon. Now, this was crazy because at the time I had only run a 5K, which was the most terrifying thing. But the person who never wanted to run to the person who ran her first 5K and who then ran a half marathon, ultimately a marathon, an ultra and beyond, I had to upgrade and change who I was on a cellular level. I completely changed my identity to become a runner. I use this story because all of us can imagine like those distances, right? And like what it takes to become the person who can show up for themselves and do that. It's less tangible in business. But the woman you are right now at the start of your business or earning $500 or $1,000 a month or $3,000 a month is not the same person that is going to be earning $10,000 plus months. And once you hit 10, if you decide to go beyond that, the next version of you is not going to be the same person. It's kind of like the definition of insanity, right? It's doing the same thing and expecting a different result. You cannot be the same person and expect to have a bigger business. It requires soul level, cellular level, energetic change. And often that is what a lot of coaches and a lot of programs miss. They are going to teach you all the strategy. But what you don't get is the cellular activation. And that, my friends, is what is going to help you keep these 10K months and beyond. The first micro habit that I want to talk to you about is getting dressed like the woman who has a 10K plus month business. I don't necessarily mean that you need to go put on a power suit if that's not how your version of a 10K plus month business owner looks to you. But much like I just gave that, running analogy, I can guarantee that you have gym clothes, right? You have clothes that you're like, I'm going to sleep in these clothes. You have clothes that are your work clothes. You have clothes that are like, hey, I'm going to clean the house today. I'm going to put on these clothes, right? Because what do those clothes represent to you? They represent an activity, an embodiment of something that you are doing. The exact same rules apply to showing up at our business. There's a lot of times where I don't have a single sales call or client interaction on the calendar. I'm literally showing up to schedule emails, to kind of do administrative work in my business, and I am dressed as that baddie because it's important for me to step into this almost character. And I want you to think of your 10K version self as a character, as an avatar. And if you had to dress her up, what does she look like? Using clothing is one of the best manifestation tools because it is so tangible. And oftentimes you can just have that one necklace, that how you do your hair a certain way. Maybe it's a certain perfume you put on. Maybe it is a pair of shoes that you wear. Even if it's one article of clothing that represents that next level self, it is such a powerful statement to the universe saying, I'm showing up today. I am going to be her right this very second. And I'm not going to wait until my business is at 10K to dress like her. You don't need to wait. You can actually be that person right now. The second micro habit I want you to get into is messaging. I know this could sound like a strategy, and maybe it is technically, but when you get in the habit of really good messaging and not putting content out to check a box to say, boop, I posted today, because that little check mark, unless it's actually creating an activation in someone, isn't helping you with that goal of, hitting your 10K months or whatever your goal is. Maybe your first goal is 3K or 50K at this point. But if you are not having intentional messaging to reach your person, you are truly wasting precious time and energy because you are doing instead of being. Every single thing I put out, whether it's an email, a private DM to somebody, whether it's something I put together for a client who's already paying me, whether it's a social post, I don't care. These episodes, right? I think about what is it that she needs to hear right now? What is she sitting in? What is bothering her? What is the thing that I need to say so that she feels so understood, so cared for? And I can guarantee that this is something that is missing in your business because 99.9% of the clients that come into my world, this is where we start. It's not that their business is not great or their offer is not great. They're just not using the words that are connecting with their client. And this is one of the most vital skills that you can get in the habit of. And honestly, why I call this a micro habit is because messaging is not something that comes overnight. I hired, the last several coaches I've worked with have all been about messaging. And at my very first messaging coach, I would be like, okay, did I get it? Did this work? I was looking for a gold star. I was looking for that, yes, girl, you got an A+. And that's just not how messaging works because it's not really what your coach thinks. Is what does your client think? Is that the words that they use? Is this the problem that they have? So get in the habit of seeing what they want and then checking the data. What posts did really well? What email did you get a response on? What created an emotional reaction? So get in the habit of really good, potent, powerful messaging in all of your spaces, whether that's private community, within the conversations with your clients, or just on a more broad scale, whether that's your podcast or social platforms. Micro habit number 3 is visualizing impact. This is one of the most underrated techniques that exists. Okay? Because here's the thing. Oftentimes, and I'm guilty of this too, when we visualize and close our eyes, we're thinking, okay, I want to make this much money and I want to get paid this much. And it's very me, me, me. But what if we actually turned that around and we thought about, okay, for 2 minutes, I'm going to think about when I serve my clients, what is the impact that is going to have on the world? Right before this episode, I literally was like, universe, help me find the words that these women need to hear. But also, I'm inspired because I know that if you hear this episode and you go and implement these 3 micro habits in your life and business, that you are now somebody that 10 other people are going to witness doing those habits. And those 10 people are going to be witnessed by 10, 20, 30 more people. And it just becomes this incredibly inspiring spiderweb of possibilities when we focus on impact versus financial gain for ourselves. And here's the difference. When we focus on servitude and when we focus on impact, money comes naturally. It is a byproduct of service. I promise you. And the thing is, it is such a subtle shift going from how can I serve, and by serving, what impact is that going to make, to oh my gosh, universe, bring me a client that's going to pay me $5,000 today. Such a different energy. One is more at a lower vibration, and one is at a magnetic vibration, because one of the highest energetic frequencies that we can offer is service and kindness, right? When we are wanting to give, that becomes this magnetic force that is truly unstoppable. So just to go over one more time, the 3 micro habits to help you not only get to your first 10K month, but keep 10K months is number 1, dressing like the person who already has what it is you're desiring. Number 2, get in the habit of really good messaging, not sloppy, let me just check the box, but let me really, really be so intentional with my words. And the third thing is focusing on the visualization of impact. How can you be of service today? And what does your service mean in the grand scheme of things? If you've listened to this episode all the way through and you're thinking, I'm ready for a cellular activation, for a cellular change, for a business that doesn't just make 10K months, but makes true impact, the doors to Embodied Earner are open, and I want to welcome you with open arms. Everything you need to either book an Is This For Me call or to save your spot is down below in the show notes. I really hope to see you there, because if you can't tell already, we don't mess around. We are doing full body business change and growth, and it is something that will stay with you for the rest of your life. If you enjoyed this episode, do me a favor and go to the subscribe button. I drop new videos every week, just like this one. And go ahead and share with a business bestie who needs to hear this message today too. Thanks for being here. We'll be back next week.